The Floating Skeleton. The Floating Skeleton is one of the most interesting mysteries that I've ever come across. It's also one of the mysteries that I've fully solved before on TikTok. Now don't get me wrong, people have posted about the Floating Skeleton before I did, but that's all they did. They didn't tell you where it was and they didn't tell you why it was there. So, firstly, you probably think the Floating Skeleton is fake, and that's okay because a lot of people do, but let me tell you, it's very real. The Floating Skeleton exists in every single GTA Online session, every single one, and it has for almost 5 years now. And the footage in the background is proof of this. I'm in an Xbox GTA Online session and I'm going from the city to the Floating Skeleton. Now the reason this is so difficult to find is because it's in the middle of the ocean. It's further than the map can actually go, but it is before the death barrier. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time pinpointing exactly where this Floating Skeleton is in the ocean, and I'm going to share my method to find it every single time. Okay, so firstly you need to go to the bottom right corner of the docks and line yourself up facing the ocean. So when you open up the map, you'll be facing the bottom right corner like I am in this footage. From here, you need to fly directly forward for quite a while until Los Santos is almost completely off of your map. You see, to pinpoint the location of this Floating Skeleton, we want the docks to be in the top left corner of your map. Now this positioning needs to be perfect, so listen to everything I say here. So we are far out in the ocean. We're going to open up the map and zoom the entire way out. We're now going to line up the map so that we have the docks in the top left corner, and then next to the docks we have the Merryweather warehouse, and then next to the Merryweather warehouse we have, let's say, the second dock. I believe that's one of the locations for the nightclub in GTA Online, but we're going to call it the second dock because it's a stretch of road that comes out onto the water. So the second dock is the most important part of this. It needs to be halfway on your screen. So position your map so that half of it is visible. Now once you've done this, it's fairly easy to find the Floating Skeleton. So obviously your navigation arrow will be in the middle of the screen. The Floating Skeleton will be in the bottom right corner of your navigation arrow. You can see in my footage I put a point of interest in that bottom right corner. That is the exact location of the Floating Skeleton from your navigation arrow. Now the Floating Skeleton won't be visible from above the water or on the water, so I suggest when you have lined up your map, you then swim from that location onwards. The Floating Skeleton will be just under the surface, so you will have to dive to see it, but it won't be very deep in the water. And you're going to have to be fairly close to it for it to actually appear. So now you know a method of how to find it every single time. Nobody had posted this method before, keep that in mind. This Floating Skeleton was found because of internet issues, so nobody knew where it was, nobody knew how to find it, nobody knew that it was in every single GTA Online session. I was just taking a long shot in the dark, hoping that it was in every online session and not just a mission glitch. So when I found it, obviously it blew my mind. Now I will fully explain to you why it's here because this mystery is solved and it's not as weird as you might think, but first you need to know what this is. Now obviously the Floating Skeleton is a whale skeleton. Specifically a humpback whale, which is very common on the coast of California, and GTA 5 has whales. There are multiple of these whale skeletons on the ocean floor around the GTA 5 map. There's also a couple on the Cayo Perico map. So the skeleton itself isn't weird. The weird part is that it's floating in the middle of the ocean. That's why it's called the Floating Skeleton. All of these whale skeletons that can be found around the GTA 5 map are placed on the sea floor. They're not supposed to be floating. And obviously they're not supposed to be this far out at sea because there is nothing apart from water this far out. So why is it floating in the middle of the ocean then? Well, this is actually connected to the reason as to why it's here. This specific whale skeleton is the whale skeleton used in the Cayo Perico map. I said earlier that this has been in every single GTA Online session for almost 5 years now. The Cayo Perico update released on December 15th, 2020, that is almost 5 years ago. And that is the same day that this Floating Skeleton appeared in the ocean. You see, Rockstar likes to store the other maps in the bottom right corner near the docks. You see, every time we want to go to North Yankton or Cayo Perico, there's a cutscene to get us there because it doesn't actually exist out there on the ocean. They aren't islands we can just fly to, we need a cutscene to get there. But the actual maps themselves for Cayo Perico and North Yankton are stored in the bottom right corner of the map we play on. So they're both stored on that piece of ocean down near the docks, and that's why there's sometimes a glitch where you can go to North Yankton and it'll actually appear in the bottom right corner of the map we play on, because that's where the maps are kept. And that's exactly what this Floating Skeleton is. It's a piece of the Cayo Perico map that keeps glitching through into the main map. But unlike the North Yankton glitch, this one is permanent. This one has been here ever since the day Cayo Perico was added. It's in every single GTA Online session right now. And that's exactly how it was found on Reddit. Somebody was doing the Cayo Perico heist, they lost connection, and they spawned in the water, all the way in the bottom right corner of the map past the docks out into the ocean, right next to the floating skeleton. So it was all assumed that he lost connection while he was on the Cayo Perico island, so a part of it glitched with him. Until I investigated this and found out that it's in every single session anyway. It has nothing to do with him losing connection, he was just lucky enough to lose connection at that point, so it spawned him next to the floating skeleton. And that's why it's floating on the Los Santos map, because it's in the Cayo Perico map and it's on the ocean floor. But the location in which it glitches through into the GTA 5 map is very deep water. As a matter of fact, you can't even get to the bottom without dying. So of course the skeleton is floating because there is no ocean floor. So it's not actually anything creepy and it doesn't have much of a backstory, it's just a glitch that Rockstar couldn't be bothered to fix. But it would be pretty scary if you came across this accidentally, I can understand that. So now you know exactly how to find this floating skeleton and why it exists. I've never seen this spoken about on YouTube before, and I know for a fact that nobody has ever given an exact guide on how to find this. A lot of effort went into this video, so I would appreciate a like. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day.